So the first principle seems minor or redundant, but is extremely important. And I want to say that we have to realize that our children are not seeing reading and writing. Most of the things that we're doing now are electronically. We pay bills online. We um, we buy with our ATM cards and our credit card. We have electronic signatures. We text. We post. We we're just we're doing less and less writing with actual reading books or bills or papers or contracts and with actual reading writing utensils. And so even though all of these things are more convenient for us, what that does is it alienates the child from the idea of reading and writing because they're not understanding the connection. And when they go to school and as they learn to read and write, they will have to do it through books and they will have to do it with pencils, with crayons, with writing utensils. And it's really hard for them to see this and this every day of their life and then be expected to do this and this. There's a total disconnection. And so we have to, as parents, become extremely deliberate to be a little bit less convenient and go for the less convenient, less modern way of doing things when we move about the world and really get back to reading and writing in a way that is connected to what they'll have to do. And so, especially the first 5 years when the brain is developing, 90% of the brain develops the first 5 years, and children really need to form, like their brain wiring needs to be wired in a way that's functional. Well, by us constantly doing things electronically, that becomes the mode, but we want them to do things traditionally, and that's not how they're wired. And so we have to become deliberate in how we do things. You have to sign things. You have to read things. You have to even use money. If you don't want your children to think that money is fake, then you have to stop using your ATM card and your credit card to pay for everything and carry cash so that your children can make the connection between money and purchasing things. If you're constantly using fake money, then they won't make the connection. And so it's the same thing with reading and writing. So we have to become extremely deliberate in everything that we do. And we have to realize that while we're reading and writing in our minds and using literacy to, navigate through the world, children can't read our minds. And so we have to show them how we're using literacy in our everyday lives. When we go to the grocery store and we need soap and we don't know that soap is on aisle 6, we look up, we find the word soap, we go to aisle 6, we go get our soap, we put it in our cart and we leave. We've used literacy to meet our needs, but we've done it in our head. We have to be deliberate with children so that they can understand the connection between literacy and meeting your needs. That's how children learn that something is important. Because if we don't teach them that something is important and then we throw them in school and it's the most important thing in the world, there's a disconnection. So it's extremely important that we're deliberate. When we're using literacy to find the soap on aisle 6, we need to say that and we need to model it. I need soap. Let's find the word soap. This word is on this aisle 6. Let's go there. Let's find the soap. Let's put it in the cart. That needs to be a very deliberate process. When you're going to the store and you're buying the things that you always buy, you just go to the store, you look at the box, you put it in your cart. You already know what this is, but your child doesn't know why you're picking that one. So it's important that you read the label, that you point out to something on it, that you look at a word, it's gluten-free, this is why we're getting it, or that you compare prices with something else, or that you say you pick up one something that you wouldn't get and you put it next to this and you compare it and you say, no, this has too much sugar or this has too many chemicals. That way you're modeling behavior, or you're saying this is out of my price range. You're using literacy. You're using the information that's on this box and the information that's on that box and the information that is on the on the aisle, and you're comparing and contrasting. You're using literacy to meet your needs. This is what you have to model and communicate to your children. Your children don't know that you're doing it. And so then, when you're going through life and you're wondering why your child doesn't have literacy comprehension or critical skills and doesn't understand what literacy is all about, it's because no one has modeled it for him or her. Everyone is doing it in their head or doing it on their phones and their iPads and their laptops. No one is really modeling reading and writing for children. But then we expect them to go to school and get it. No one got it for them. Nobody fetched it and fed it to them. We teach our children how to deliberately wear clothes. We teach our children how to deliberately acquire family values. We teach them manners, but we're not making that literal connection to literacy and its importance. And we have to be very, very deliberate about it. Now, even families that read to children every single day, and they are far and few that do, but even families that read to children every single day will have children that are still observing them use this and not actually read and write. So if your child goes through his or her entire day, 16 hours, 18 hours, and only has 20 minutes set up for literacy, they're still learning that literacy is not a huge deal. It's just 20 minutes of the day. So we have to increase the exposure that our children have to literacy. And how do we do that? One way to do it is to make sure that in every single room, starting with your entrance, there's something written. A welcome mat, something written when you first come in. So this is what I have by my keys. Something in the kitchen. You can have a board where you write what you're going to cook or what you're going to eat that day. That's a great idea for the kitchen. That you have something in each room. I have in my room a thing that says, don't forget to call your mother. So that's what I have in the TV room. Every single room in your house should have something in print. Maybe around the light switch on and off. Just everywhere in your house you should have something in print. We want children to see print in our homes. The other thing is, don't have all of your bills come electronically. Have at least one bill come via the mail so that you can see it, you can pay for it, you can look through it, you can mail it off, and then don't pay electronically. Actually use the little envelope that it comes with and fill it out and mail it. So even just one bill makes a big difference. These cubbies are from the dollar store, and I have stuff here for my son to read and play with or write, and I have something for myself to read and play with or write. And I have about 3 of these in my house. One in the living room, one in the kitchen, and one in our TV room. And it's like, even here, like I have these story cubes. It's just something for him and I to do. And you toss it, and according to where the cube lands, you can make up a story. This is like a 5-minute game. I'll do one story, he does one story, and then we're done. If children come to our house, I'll have each of them do a story. And that's it, 5 minutes. But just have reading and writing utensils and literacy-centric activities in each room in the house. Again, so that you're constantly using literacy. In the bathroom, you can have these water pencils, or you can have paint, finger paint, or you can have shaving cream that can be put on the wall. Just have things for them to write and play with writing in the bathtub. And so you have it literally in every single room in the house. In your car, you can have stories for them to hear. You can have preschool songs or children's songs that are about rhyming in the car. I mean, you have to incorporate literacy. You have to incorporate literacy in every part of your life. and be deliberate about it, because children are going through days where they're not getting constant exposure. The next thing, and I'll just do one more, that you can do, um, you would never let a child miss a meal and not make a big deal of it. You would never make a child, miss a bath and not make a big deal of it. But sometimes, if we're tired, we'll make um, we won't make a big deal about missing story time, or we'll take away story time. So you're sending a message again that this is something that's optional. It's not optional. If your children are only getting 20 minutes of reading a day, of if explicit reading time, 20 minutes a day, and then you're willing to take it away if you're tired or if they do something wrong, then it's not that important, is it? It's not as important as taking a bath. In in the grand scheme of things, your children have good hygiene. It is more important than missing a bath. So we have to treat it as a huge prize. We have to do it because children are not making a connection to literacy and its importance, and how it's relevant, how it's useful. So, let's just do it. And um, let's be extremely deliberate. Again, you have to model the behavior, and you have to create opportunities for children to celebrate literacy and to use literacy. Birthday parties. Why aren't we doing characters instead of book characters, instead of movie characters as birthday parties themes? So that's another thing. If in a birthday party you get 15 presents and none of them are books, or just one is a book, but there's 14 toys, what's the message? The message is that the most important thing is books, is toys, not books. And so let's think about and let's re-examine how this thing that's going to save their lives, that's going to drive success, that's going to give them the world, one of the most important things that they'll have in life is literacy. And let's evaluate how much value we place on literacy and the message that we send our children with regards to literacy in our daily lives. There's a total disconnection. One of the most important things, but one of the last things in our daily lives. This connection. So let's reevaluate it and connect it in a way that sends a clear message to your children that this is a fascinating thing, a useful thing, an important thing, and a really, really big deal.